Have you ever dreamed about winning the lottery? Yeah. Oh, I heard a couple yeses there. Dream about winning the lottery, becoming rich, waking up one day, suddenly having financial security, right? All your problems just gone in an instant. What would you do with it all? Right? Maybe go on a dream vacation, maybe buy a new house, pay off a mortgage, maybe buy a vacation home or something. I'd pay the mortgage of some family members if I won the lottery. I'd build a two-story parking garage for St. Benedict, you know? It's because I'm so generous, I know. I'd probably trade in my Fiesta for a Tesla. Maybe take up racing high-speed go-karts, you know? With the financial security, imagine all the good things we might do, all the philanthropy, the charity, like buy Father Simon a hairpiece, you know? Just something kind and generous. I picture him with these flowing locks, you know, kind of like Fabio or something. Now, for most people who suddenly win the lottery, though, it's rarely happily ever after. Take, for example, Janet Leigh. She worked in a wig shop before she won $18 million, okay? She took the opportunity to buy her family a multi-million-dollar home. 10 years later, she filed for bankruptcy, $2.5 million in debt. Or take, for example, a guy named William Bud Post, $16.2 million winner. His ex-girlfriend sued him, so she made off with some of the winnings. His own brother, get this, his own brother hired a hitman with the hope of knocking him off and inheriting some of the fortune. Other relatives demanded money. Within just 1 month of winning the lottery, he filed for bankruptcy. $1 million in debt. Jack Whitaker, he won $315 million. He said, "I wish I had torn up that lottery ticket." $31 million lottery winner said, "Winning the lottery is the worst thing that ever happened to me." Because the truth is, more money, more problems. Now, sure, you might say, well, sure, Father Alex, so you can find some extreme cases of lottery winners where things went south. But not me. I'm different, and most people probably, they live happily ever after. Well, studies have been done, and statistics show that 70% of people who win the lottery end up broke. And a full 30%, a full third of them end up filing for bankruptcy. The reality is, here's the reality, there is no such thing as financial security. And that's why I never play the lottery. I only buy Bitcoin. Actually, I've come to understand Deacon Ronan actually owns some Bitcoin, but he continues to be financially insecure, you know, so hasn't helped him too much. Now, here's the truth. We will never have security as long as we place our security in the things of this world. Why? Because the things of this world are passing away. Wherever we might place our security, whether it's in money or career, health, my own giftedness and talents, whether it's a nice home, our personal health, reputation, status, whatever it is, it can all be taken from us in an instant. It can be snatched right out of our hands. The truth is, trusting in the things of this world gives us anxiety, not security. But we can have true security in this life. How? Well, here's a hint. It's in the name of our preaching series, provision. Provision. Now, this is our annual preaching series where we talk about the role financial giving plays in the life of a follower of Jesus, financial generosity. And this is a series, in the context of this giving, is a place of relying on the provision of God. Now, if you crave for security, listen to the words of Jesus in the gospel today. These promises that he makes to his followers, they're really quite stunning. He says, my sheep, there's a nice little sheep there. It's the face only a mother could love, you know? It's like, happy. My sheep, he says, hear my voice. I know them and they follow me. I give them eternal life and they will never perish. No one will snatch them out of my hands. And in just 2 short verses, Jesus makes 4 incredible promises. Check this out. He says, my sheep, and who are his sheep? We are. Yeah. Anyone who's made a decision to follow Jesus, anyone who's made a decision to place their life in his hands, belongs to Jesus. And he says that he will provide direction. My sheep hear my voice. He provides eternal life, that this life is not the end, right? I give them eternal life, he says. He provides safety. He says they will never perish. And he says he provides security. No one will snatch them out of my hands. See, unlike status or a career or money or health or a house, winning the lottery, none of these things can give us the security we seek because they can be taken from our hands. But we can never be taken from the hands of Jesus. Now, this is a promise we can base our whole lives on. Why? Well, because Jesus says, as he says in the passage, he has the power to do it. He has the power to keep safe what the Father has entrusted him, what the Father has placed in his hands. And at the end of this passage, he says, the Father and I are one. In other words, Jesus is claiming to be equal to his Father. That he's claiming to have the power of God himself. And the proof of that is in Jesus' resurrection from the dead. Jesus has the power to provide. And more than that, he wants to. Right? Jesus provides for what's most precious to him. And if you listen to the passage, it's really beautiful. Jesus says, what my Father has given me is more important than anything else. And what has his Father given him? His sheep. That's you. That's us. Right? You are more important to Jesus than anything else in the whole world. And if you are in his hands, he has the power to provide and to protect and to watch over and to keep safe. And that's his promise to us. See, Jesus provides for what's most precious to him, which means he provides for his sheep. See, the truth is, nothing in this world can give us the security that we really crave, that we long for. Only in the provision of God do we have true security. Only in the hands of Jesus. I want to tell the story of somebody who discovered this for themselves. Her name is Crystal Fideli. Crystal moved to Halifax in 2018 with her 2 kids. And Crystal's from Trinidad and Tobago. She gave me permission to share her story. And she has 2 beautiful kids, Caden and Jaleel. And right before she left Trinidad and Tobago, she got married. And so she began this new life, embarking on this new adventure to come to Halifax, full of optimism, excitement about beginning school and a new life here. But sadly, Crystal didn't find the safety or security in any of those things. Now, Crystal, she believed in God, but she wasn't practicing her faith. She found herself kind of distant from God. And pretty soon after she got here, she found herself trapped in what she described as a toxic and controlling marriage. Over time, gradually became obvious her home was unsafe. And she developed sciatica, high blood pressure, anxiety, and depression. Now, desperate for a way out, Crystal began looking. She began hitting the streets and dropping applications off at apartment buildings, and they all rejected her application because she was here on a student visa. And so she was stuck in an unsafe and insecure environment. Now, one day in 2020, that began to change through some parishioners, St. Benedict Parish. She was standing in line at a pharmacy, and someone struck up a conversation with her, a parishioner named Colleen from St. Benedict Parish. And after kind of chatting for a bit and finding out that Crystal was from Trinidad, immediately made Colleen think of another parishioner from Trinidad and Tobago. Her name's Patricia Huddlin. Some of you might know her. And Crystal and Patricia really hit it off, and they immediately became friends. And over time, Crystal began to open up about her situation and her story to Patricia. And when Patricia heard about the situation that Crystal was in, she immediately said, pack your bags, grab your kids, you're moving in with me. And see, she's so generously opened her whole home to Crystal, Caden, and Jaleel. Now, they began watching Sunday Mass here at St. Benedict during kind of the heaviest days of the pandemic, week after week after week, and her faith beginning to grow. And during that time, our kids went through sacramental preparation, all online, right, on Zoom with her and her two kids. And it was 6 months before Crystal even ever stepped foot in this building. And she said this. She said, St. Benedict Parish made me feel welcome, like I belonged somewhere. In my lifetime, I have never felt like I belonged anywhere. But every time I walk into St. Benedict, I feel like I'm part of a family. And that's because, Crystal, you are part of a family here at St. Benedict. She took Online Alpha in 2021. She joined a life group. I asked her about her experience, and she said, Alpha, it was life-changing because I put all my faith in God. And everything I do now, I do with God, and God provides. God provided her a home with Patricia. God provided her a spiritual home here at St. Benedict. Hey. And she discovered that our safety, our security, is only in the provision of God. Now, only in the provision of God do we find true security in this life. Now, in God's provision is the context for our lives as Christians, as followers of Jesus, by living from His hands. And because when we live from the hands of Jesus, when we live in the provision of God, we begin to live more generous lives. This is the connection to generosity, financial giving. It's when we begin to recognize that nothing we have comes from us, but all of it is in the hands of God. That we can begin to live a more open-handed life like Patricia, for example, opening, acknowledging, recognizing that her own home doesn't even belong to her. And so that God can use her as an instrument of provision for others in need, others who are looking for a home, for safety, and for security. And so this is the invitation for us, I think, today, as we reflect on what it is to live in the provision of God, and how we are called to live generously, dependent upon God, recognizing that none of what we have belongs to us. And so today, I'd like to invite you to do two things. One, to make a decision to live by God's provision. Make a decision today that you are going to acknowledge that all that you have, all that you own, all that you possess, none of it actually belongs to you. It belongs to God. And secondly, I invite you to kind of pray about how you can express that by making some kind of commitment to live more generously. And so part of that means we're going to send you home with this is called our Stewardship of Treasure booklet, which we publish every year. And what it is, it's our annual financial report as a parish. And you can see the ways we spend our money, You can read about different ways to give. And most importantly, you can read about the stories of lives that have been impacted through the financial generosity and giving of our parishioners here at St. Benedict. And inside of that Stewardship of Treasure booklet, you find what we call a commitment card. And you might just pray with that and ask the Lord, Lord, what would you like me to do with what belongs to you? And just pray about how you might partner financially in the mission of St. Benedict Parish. Now, this is Crystal with her 2 kids. And you might recognize Caden. Caden, on the left, she often serves here at Mass. I asked Crystal, what difference did Jesus make in your life? And she said this: I leave everything in his hands. He has never failed me. I don't let my worries overwhelm me anymore. I have 1,000% trust in his hands. See, that's his promise, right? That's what Jesus said. No one will take them out of my hands. See, only Jesus has the power to provide for what's most precious to him. And that's us. And it's only in the hands of Jesus that we truly experience security in this life. And I don't know about you, I want to live my life a little bit more like Crystal. I want to live 1,000% trusting in the hands of Jesus. And I don't know about you, but I want to live with the kind of generosity of Patricia, who opened her home, who shared all of what she had with somebody in need. And as I reflect on this story, I think it's just so beautiful that God provided a physical home and a spiritual home for Crystal and her children. And she did it through the parishioners of St. Benedict Parish. You made this possible by your giving, by your generosity. And I believe there are many, many more stories, just like Crystal's. There are many more people who are out there searching for a home, longing for security, the kind of security and safety that they can only find in the hands of Jesus, and we can help them find it. We, St. Benedict Parish, can be instruments in the hands of God, living generously from a place of security in God's provision.